up her portfolio, and I think she probably bought at least another 5 properties. Some of her properties were duplexes and stuff like that, but we did all that. So what my point being is that if you can keep your properties separate, when property increases in value, we can take that and we can go to that bank, or we can go, you know what, this bank's going to value, because the other benefit we have is that the banks value properties at different prices. So, you know, we had recently a bank valuing at something that was purchased at 460 and it came in at 410, with another bank that came in at 430, with another bank it came in at 460. Now, if you only go to your one bank, and then all of a sudden they go, oh, I'm sorry, but the valuations come back in short, you go, oh my God, what do I have to do now? And I'm not pushing the use of a broker, but using somebody like our services means that we know what that's come back in at. We can dispute it if we need to. If we don't dispute it, the quickest thing for us, because valuers are very arrogant type of people. They'll go, no, that's what I think it's worth. Doesn't matter what stats you've got, you know, to say the differ. That's what it is. And so for us, we've already got all your information. We go, no worries. With a lot of lenders, know exactly what we're dealing with. So we could go, no, we're not going to bother with that one yet. We'll go with this one. All right, and we see it all the time. So the beauty is then I go, you know what, I just need your latest pay slip. Here we've got a valuation. We're going to take it to this one. This is where we're going to structure it. This is how we're going to do it. Leave it to us.
Can I just ask a question in regards to your 3 properties, 3 different ones?
I'm going to talk to you about the driving factors of capital growth. You know, we talked about 7% and 5%. So if you have a look here, these are the Melbourne figures back in 1956. These are in the millions. And this is the Australian figures over here. So you can see that, and you know, everybody talks, you know, population is growing. More people we have, the more demand there is. And I think Sophie, you said before, which hit the nail on the head, is that it's going to be harder and harder for our kids to buy property and to get into property, which means there's going to be a lot more renters.
It's pointing it now.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Hadn't thought of that.
Oh,
Now, I just took this stat from the ABS, so that was because ABS, you know, do the census every 6 years, so they'll be due for another census this year, and that's what their prediction is. It's 22.9 million, and in Victoria 5.5, and that's what they predict by 2030, and that's what we're getting into Australia every year as well.
It's a lot of people.
So
they're all down in
we're really on a time frame here. So how to achieve a 7% return over 10 years, because that was the other question you had. And you really need to choose your properties well. All right. So anybody who has already, you know, invested in property, hopefully you've invested well and that you've seen some good returns on there. And if you haven't, then you'll know what I'm talking about as well. So look at medium density size type of properties. So it doesn't necessarily need to be your big house and land. Land does appreciate in value, but you'll find if you're going to be buying land in good areas these days in Melbourne, you're looking at $1 million. You know, if you want anywhere within that 5 to 7 kilometre radius, it's very expensive. And to get into that, you need to be earning very big dollars so that you can cover the shortfall in the repayments per month. All right. Also look at medium price properties, all right? So don't go and look at, so if you're buying in, is where I live, in Moonee Ponds for argument's sake, you know, if your medium price in there is $800,000 for a house, don't go for an investment, don't go and buy a property that's worth, you know, 2.8, you know, because there are properties in that area that are that expensive. That is not a good investment. It might be okay for you to live
for your house,
but not for investment.
So to look at it in the mindset that you don't pick this because you want to live in there. This is purely
as an investment.
Well-established areas, and the reason why I like well-established areas is because then you know that history has gone through there. So if you're going to be buying in Tarneet, you know, Wallen, I'm not saying they are the wrong areas, but they're still all very new, and there's so much growth out that way that you're always going to be up against.
It's going to take a long time.
And it's a nightmare to live there, so just don't do it. I can say that because I'm freaking there. You can't get out of the joint.
Ability to add value so that you can increase your equity as well, because that's another way, because if you don't have this nice pool here that I talked to you about, you know, getting your $30,000 from here or whatever it may be. Another way of adding or obtaining equity is by adding value to it. So you'll see people who will do a renovation on a property, not spending too much money, but renovating a property or subdividing the land, doing a development. That's another way of being able to add value. Ability to maximise borrowings, and what that means is that you're going to buy something that the banks will like, all right? And banks like anything that's standard. Anything that's non-standard, the banks don't like it. And if the banks don't like it,
What's non-standard?
a hotel. So sometimes people will come into the city, they'll go, oh Joe, I can find this property, it's only $220,000 and it's a studio apartment. It's the size of, my dog's kennel. But I'm going to get this much return out of it. It's wonderful. I go, great for return, but one, the banks won't like it. Two, your capital growth is nothing, even though you're in the CBD. The capital growth, something like that, just does not move with the general market. Cash flow easily tenable, so something like that you want so that people can just come in and go. You don't want anything that's not that well tenantable, so you need to look at something that also has a little bit of a wow factor in it. So if you were looking at a unit that was very dark and dingy, and then there was a unit next door that had lovely light going through it, where's the tenant going to go?
Yeah.
Just need to look at things like the public transport.
Yeah.
And also body corporate, because although I might give you great returns or whatever, the body corporate fees are massive. And
So when someone comes in, they're
Sometimes
looking for apartments, I would say anything without the least amount of lifts, and I talked about that, stay away, high rise, anything that's over really 50 apartments, I would generally say as an investment to stay away. One of my clients just bought here, actually next door, and he's on the floor, on a really high floor, beautiful views, he showed me the picture. Now that was fine because he's got a pool, a gym, whatever it is, but he's living in there. It is completely different. I would never invest in that building. So body corporate fees, pools, gyms, they don't do anything for you as the landlord. You want to be, you just need nice plain, the less amount is better. And also here, match the property to your cash flow, because that was one of the things you were saying before. It's no good buying that $1 million property in, Moonee Ponds, Camberwell, Ascot Vale, wherever, and then you can't afford the repayments on it. Alright? Because usually at that price, they're going to have a dumpy property on them that's not going to give you a very good return.
God, I gotta go back to work. Far out.
you are working. You haven't stopped. What are you talking about?
Oh man. It's cool.
Yeah, it
I'm
is.
trying to go buy something.
That's pretty self-explanatory when to buy. When's right for you.
Yeah.
Right? Again, I'm just telling you these things now to plant a bit of a seed. Get your business, get your foundation set up correctly, and then once you feel comfortable in that, then we can start talking about, building your wealth through property if that's something that you wanted to do. Properties to avoid, emotional purchases, which is what you were saying before. Lack of research. So, if you're looking to go into a different market, particularly if we're all here in Melbourne and you want to go and buy in Mackay, don't just go, oh, Joe said it's great, let's go invest in Mackay. Do your research. Go and find out about it. Take a trip. I say to one of my clients, because we do a lot of interstate have a number of interstate clients as well, and I say, if they're, wherever you're investing in, it doesn't cost that much to fly these days. Go and see it, feel it, touch it, make sure that everything that they say it is, I do. I'm not going to go and spend, $500,000 and then
Well, that's exactly right, and not pay $120 for a plane.
even if it costs you $2,000, do it.
Yeah.
Unique luxury or specialised properties. Now I have a lot of clients who were in the first stages, because in the first stage of your property investment journey, usually you have your own home first. Now not always, some people become investors before they become owner-occupiers, but I'm just talking generally. If you've got your own home and it's worth $500,000, and then the first thing we would normally do is go, okay, this is your bad debt because this is the cost to buy your house. We set this up, all right? Now, when we set this up, you can use that for any purpose you want. Remember before I said you can use it for your business because it's investment, or you can use it for your property. You might say, look, I'm just going to put $50,000 for the business and $50,000, that's fine. They don't have to be split. But this here, a lot of people think their houses are worth a lot more than what they are, all right? So we do some preliminary valuations with our clients first just to get a feel of it. But if your property is unique, all right, in your area, and it might just be architecturally designed and, you know, around it there's nothing else like it, it's very hard to value up because the valuers don't have anything to compare it to. So don't get too concerned, but when you're buying an investment property, stick to standard average properties. Specialised or unique usage, which I said to you before, holiday resorts, so Queensland, a lot of those sort of apartments that are on holiday, fantastic rent return. But again, now the banks will take them, but instead of borrowing like with Craig, where we borrowed 95% of the purchase price, holiday resorts are anywhere between 60 and 70%. So they are for a particular investor, someone who's got either the equity to contribute or the cash to contribute. So they're not for everybody. Those sort of things there, I'd say, are good for early retirees who want to pump their money into something and get a good return. Student accommodation.
Sorry, just because my parents are in my mind as you're talking. You would say for them to look at or avoid.
No, but
Depends.
they could possibly.
I'll talk to you.
Student accommodation is another one. The banks don't like it because it's specialised. You can't rent it out to me. You can't rent it out to you. You can only rent it out to a certain market. So stay away from them. Serviced apartments. The reason why banks don't like these, remember, banks always look at things that they can easily sell. And so should you. So when someone says to you, look, if you go to the bank, the bank goes, oh no, we'll only lend you that. Straight away you should have warning bells saying, why is the bank only going to lend me 60% against this? They're big, they would have done their research. So should you. So we service apartments, there's a massive management agreement in there, which means it's hard to sell for them to get out of, to make it available to the mass market. So that's why stay away. And I said before about hotel accommodation.
Normally, the banks will only give you 80%, would they? Not 95.
No, you can go up to 95 with mortgage insurance on a standard property. You have to pay a fee for that, but as an investor...
Even for investment properties?
Yes,
Yeah.
as an investor it's tax deductible.
Yeah.
If you can avoid it, avoid it.
Yeah.
But if
Avoid
you
it.
don't have to,
You
you
can.
use it. So I'm just going to quickly slide because I think we're close to time.
20 minutes.
Non-residential zoning. So anything that's not big, very careful if you like a warehouse, and this is for if anyone's looking to buy their own home that has been converted and it's zoned mixed use. Sometimes there's, I've had issues where people have bought on a strip where there's a village centre, with shops, and then they're the next house. So defence houses I'd say are a bit different.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright, but more your high-rise
The
apartments.
new apartment.
Okay.
Alright, so you
Right.
might see some people like in the age advertising will give you rental guarantee of 7% for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
That is usually already buffered into the price, and when we go and do a valuation, it will come in less than that. And the valuers know which ones have rental guarantees, so stay away from them.
Is that less than
50 squares?
Oh yes, it was the last one. Sorry, less than 50 square meters. Stay away from that too. Sorry, I didn't realise.
Okay.
So that's
House or
apartments,
area?
Apartments.
Oh, right.
So if they're less than 50 square metres, I would say to you stay away because a lot of banks have that as a criteria for their minimum size. Some banks will say that they will include balcony, but if you use that as a general rule of thumb, you're much safer.
And that's total property or just?
That's internal, not including balcony or anything like that.
Wow.
That's a big house.
No, that's you're
No,
not.
it's 50 metres square, so it's a small
Tiny.
1 bedroom.
That's not.
Okay.
Yeah. So no,
not
It's not very
50
big at all. No.
we're talking about.
If you think about a
Mine's
garage, double garage
32.
is about 40
Yeah, but
metres
no,
square.
It's a room,
no,
it's
no.
5 by 10.
Yeah.
Which is
Really tiny, like little
like
studio
this.
apartments.
So is this about this
Bed
size?
sits, they call them bed
They're
sits.
normally
as
sort of student
Yeah, but
apartments.
If it's over 50, it will not be a bed sit. Over 50 will have a kitchen, family, like a kitchen meals area, and a separate bedroom, separate bathroom. That's usually over 50. If you see something that has got, a pull-down bed that acts as a lounge and a bed,
Yeah.
that would be a bed sit or a studio apartment.
Yeah.
And that's under.
But that's sorry, just a stupid question because I know where you were going from because that was 50 square meters. Did you say?
Yeah.
But when you're building a house, I know that
It's the other way. So 50 metres square
Metre squared,
is
yes,
the
yeah,
apartments,
that's-
50
yeah.
square metres is a house.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I get
Right.
that. That's freaking
Yeah.
huge. Gotcha. Okay.
just think of a garage. I usually go, size of a double garage is around 40, so it needs to be bigger. But if you get a 1 bedroom, usually you will find a 1 bedroom And a lot of the developers know that the bank's requirements are 50, so they're kind of building them around that, although you are seeing some smaller ones.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Just with dealing with, again, remember, this is all about choosing well. Alright? Choosing well. If you come across any of these where you've got an agent says, oh, this is the last one available, you know, the others have all sold, do not buy on the spot. There is another offer on the table, or they give you this, you know, wonderful story. So just be very conscious of all of those things.
If I could just interrupt, over the last 6 to 12 months I've been looking at property from selling one and going to another. And there's been quite a few times where I've had the real estate agent go, it's a great buy, it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that, it's this and that. Now, I'd go back on to, as I'm looking over the time frame, there'd be properties that were still there 3 months ago
Yeah.
that I saw so many times.
Yeah.
And just recently I got into realestate.com because I bought in January. And only last week there was one property in South Melbourne that is still there.
Yeah.
And the agents were so full on about it. It's been auctioned twice. You know, there's reasons. Just do your research because they'll tell you.
Well, they want to
tell you
sell
anything.
it. They want to sell it. At the end of the day,
stories
they want
I've
to sell
heard
it.
and the things I've learned over the last 6 to 12 months in regards to what people tell you and what really is going on is amazing.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, we do a little bit of advocacy, but you can get, you know, an advocate who's there, who is working for you, not for the...
And the way they twist their words
Yeah.
as to what that actually means by that on that agreement.
Okay, sign unconditional and you get the property, so just be careful with that. Unconditional means there's no conditions, so no subject to finance, no subject to building a pest, no subject to, you know, satisfactory perusal of the section 32.
My goodness.
Believe me, I have had people